Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here, this time reviewing on The Amazing Spider-Man Hit and Run. Now, as you know, this was a PSA comic about road safety as well as about drunk driving and that. So the story is mainly has Spider-Man and Ghost Rider protecting a kid from a drunk driver. And let's get on the story. Now, fun fact that this story was written by Dwayne McDuffie, who made shows like Static Shock, Justice League Unlimited, Ben 10 Alien Force, and Ben 10 Ultimate Alien. So it starts off how Spider-Man is complaining about not getting back to New York and says that, well, Canada is nice, and says, oh well, I'm swinging down, get enough pictures to make my bosses at the Daily Bugle happy, and the little web sling on the next plane home. So we introduced to the kid Phil, who's part of the Blue Jays, and also is meant to demonstrate bicycle safety at the big game, and says, there's the Sky Dome, and it's open tonight too. I wonder if I'll ever get to play baseball there. And so he does all the things of road safety, which most cyclists should do, and pretty much as soon as he sets up his light, he goes, hey, what's that noise? Oh no! And so tries to quickly make a break for it, but ends up getting hit by the driver. And the driver's like, hey kid, you alright? The kid's really hurt. Shoot, I only had a couple of drinks. But try and tell that to the cops. And now that he's worried that, he's still on probation and he's going to get into a lot of trouble. So he mainly just leaves the kid out there. And what's interesting is Danny Cook, who is the Ghost Rider, who went to see his, nephew or cousin, Phil, and says, Phil, are you alright? Hey, come back here, you creep. And so he's like, I'm right here, Phil. We're gonna get you some help right away. And so Peter Parker mainly takes some pictures and that, and here's the kids talking about, where's their friend been, because he's a big fan of the baseball team and that. So Peter decides to do some investigating, and meanwhile, Danny Cook and mainly his aunt and uncle are talking about what's happened. And yeah, despite the fact that Phil's missed the game, his father's like, I'd like to meet the guy who did this to you and bust him up. Easy, Uncle George. I've got a feeling that justice will be done. And so they both bump into each other without knowing each other's identities. So the drunk driver mainly shows up and makes it to the hospital in hopes of giving some money out and to pay for his bills. But again, Canada's healthcare system is different to America's. I'm guessing he's doing this as a kind of apology. But Danny Cook sees him and becomes Ghost Rider. And says, the Ghost Rider. What the? That's behind me. And then, yeah, it gets a bit blown up proportion. And Ghost Rider says, I am the spirit of vengeance. Confess your evil, or suffer the consequences. And just as he's about to, fall to his death, Spider-Man saves him just in time. And the drunk driver pretty much makes up a false story about him running over the kid and that, without Spidey finds it a little suspicious, but does some investigating. So, turns out the drunk driver's name is Ray, and hires some hired goons. And so, mainly talks with Ghost Rider, and asks about what's going on, and says, my actions are none of your business. Stand not in the way of vengeance. And so Ray sees what's going on and quickly makes a break for it. So they both exchange blows while Spider-Man tries to calm him down and says that, you're the one doing this. And Spider-Man's like, yikes, watch it, will you? You almost hit me. And so, yeah, Ghost Rider does get the upper hand and leaves off. While Spider-Man talks with Phil's friends and asks him to send a message to Ghost Rider, but Ghost Rider mainly says, like, Spider-Man spoke wisely. Now I have advice for you. Wear your helmet. And so drives off and makes it up to the hospital, where Spider-Man tries to take down Ghost Rider. And Ghost Rider points out that he's innocent, and that did it ever occur to him to ask Phil that. And you can tell Spider-Man does feel a bit responsible, even though it's not his fault, and did try to get his facts straight. So Ray and his friends pretty much have the kid tied up, and Ray's about to use morphine, and just then Spider-Man shows up, takes down Ray's hired thugs, and Ray tries to make a break for it, not before Ghost Rider gives him the penance stare, and he says, I did it, I hit the kid. And afterwards, him and his cronies get arrested. Spider-Man shows up to give Phil an autograph, and Danny Kutch shows up to, show him the ticket and the ball that got signed by the baseball team. And yeah, this is the story. I would say the story feels alright. I think it would be interesting if it was handled better, but I feel it gets a bit blown out of proportion. I feel, yeah, you can tell Drunk Driver does try to do things right first, but gets a bit blown out of proportion. And you could have had Peter and Danny Kutch, coming to terms with their own past stuff, but in the end, it's not a bad story. So it deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.